Before we talk about forever, let me ask you something simple. Are you ready to stay when the excitement fades, when silence gets loud, when love stops being a feeling and starts being a choice? Because forever isn't fireworks every night. Forever is showing up on ordinary days. It's choosing the same person even when life gets heavy, even when you're tired, even when walking away would be easier than staying. Love isn't asking if you're perfect. It's asking if you're present, if you're brave enough to be seen, if you're strong enough to protect something fragile, if you're ready to stop running and build something that lasts. So this isn't a speech about romance, it's about commitment, about patience, about choosing one heart and saying quietly but firmly, I'm not here for a moment, I'm here for forever. Now ask yourself honestly, are you ready for that? People ask about forever like it's a place you arrive at. Like one day you wake up, look across the room, and suddenly you're ready. Like readiness is a switch that flips the moment you meet the right person. But forever doesn't work that way. Forever doesn't announce itself. It doesn't knock on the door with answers in its hands. Forever waits quietly and watches how you behave when things stop being exciting. It watches how you treat love when it becomes familiar. Because that's where truth lives. Not in the beginning, not in the rush, but in the middle of ordinary days when no one is watching. Love starts as a feeling, sure, a strong one. It hits you in the chest, takes your breath, rearranges your priorities. But feelings are easy. They come without effort. Forever is not built on what comes easy. Forever is built on what you choose when the feeling is tired, when the spark is quiet, when life presses down on you and asks who you really are. That's the moment love stops being about what you receive and starts asking what you're willing to give. Most people want forever as a reward. They want it because it sounds safe, because it sounds like someone promising not to leave. But forever is not safety first, it's responsibility first. It's saying, I see your flaws and I'm not pretending they'll disappear. It's understanding that love doesn't erase loneliness, fear, or doubt. It just gives you someone to sit beside you while you face them. And that kind of togetherness requires something deeper than attraction. It requires presence. Presence means staying when the conversation is uncomfortable. It means listening without planning your escape. It means putting your phone down and your defenses aside. It means understanding that love doesn't need you to be impressive. It needs you to be honest. Because forever doesn't grow in perfection. It grows in consistency, in showing up the same way on bad days as you do on good ones, in choosing the same person even when the world offers distractions dressed up as excitement. We talk about being ready for love, but rarely talk about being ready to sacrifice for it. Because sacrifice sounds heavy. It sounds like loss. But real love doesn't take from you what matters. It asks you to let go of what doesn't. Your ego, your need to always be right, your habit of leaving when things get real. Forever asks you to grow, not to disappear. It asks you to become someone who can hold another person's heart without trying to control it. When you say forever, you're not promising happiness every day. You're promising effort. You're promising patience. You're promising that when misunderstandings happen, you won't turn them into exit signs. You're promising to fight for connection instead of winning arguments. Because love isn't about victory, it's about alignment. Two people facing the same direction even when the road is unclear. Forever means understanding that the person you love will change, and so will you. And that change isn't a threat, it's the point. You don't love someone because they stay the same. You love them because you choose to learn who they are becoming, again and again, with curiosity instead of fear, with acceptance instead of conditions. A lot of people confuse intensity with depth. They chase highs and call it passion. But intensity burns fast. Depth stays warm. Depth is quiet. It's steady. It doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need constant reassurance. Depth knows that love isn't proven through grand gestures alone, but through small, repeated acts of care, through remembering how someone takes their coffee, through noticing when their silence means they need space, not solutions. Forever is built in moments that don't make it into stories, in late nights where nothing dramatic happens, in shared routines, in comfortable silence, in the way two lives slowly learn how to move without colliding. That kind of harmony takes time, it takes humility, it takes the willingness to say I was wrong and mean it, not as a tactic, but as growth. If you're asking whether you're ready for forever, the real question isn't about how much you love someone. It's about how willing you are to stay open. Hen loving becomes vulnerable. Because forever will test you. It will expose parts of you you didn't know were still healing. It will challenge the version of you that learned to protect itself by leaving first. And love will ask you to unlearn that. Slowly, patiently. Being ready for forever means you understand that love doesn't complete you, it complements you. You still need your own life, your own purpose, your own strength. Because forever isn't about leaning so hard on someone that you fall together. It's about standing side by side, choosing each other without losing yourselves. Forever also means forgiveness, not forgetting, not excusing harm, but choosing repair over resentment, choosing conversation over silence, choosing to believe that the person you love is trying even when they stumble. Because everyone stumbles. The difference is whether you see mistakes as proof that love is failing or as opportunities to love better. There will be days when love feels effortless, and there will be days when it feels like work. Both matter. Work doesn't mean failure, it means investment. It means you're building something real, something that doesn't collapse the first time it's tested. Forever is not fragile, it's resilient. It bends, it adapts, it survives because both people keep choosing it. Love from a distance is easy, love in fantasy is easy, love in real life requires courage. The courage to be known, the courage to disappoint and still stay. The courage to say, this matters enough to fight for, but not enough to hurt you for. Forever is that balance. Strength without hardness. Tenderness without fear. When you're ready for forever, you stop keeping score. You saint. Up measuring who gave more. You stop waiting to be proven wrong. You start believing that love is something you build together, not something you protect yourself from. You stop asking, will this last? And start asking, how can I show up better today? Forever begins the moment you decide that love isn't something you consume, but something you contribute to. It begins when you understand that real commitment isn't loud. It doesn't need constant declarations. It lives in choices, quiet ones, repeated ones, the kind no one applauds but that shape a life. And maybe being ready for forever doesn't mean you're fearless. Maybe it just means you're willing to try, willing to learn, willing to stay present even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. Because love has never been about guarantees. It has always been about faith. Faith that showing up matters. Faith that choosing one heart is worth the risk. Faith that what you're building together is stronger than what you're afraid of losing. Forever doesn't ask you to be perfect. It asks you to be intentional, to love with awareness, to choose with integrity, to understand that every day you wake up beside someone, you're not trapped there. You're choosing them again. And that choice, when made freely, becomes the most powerful form of love there is. So when you ask if you're ready for forever, listen to how you answer. Not with words, but with actions. With how you treat people when things get hard. With how you handle disappointment. With how you show love when no one is watching. Because forever doesn't begin at the altar, or with a promise, or with a perfect moment. It begins quietly, inside you. The moment you decide that love is not something you run toward only when it feels good, but something you are willing to stand with, protect, and grow into, even when it asks more of you than you expected, even when it requires you to become someone braver, softer, more patient, someone who understands that loving deeply is not about possession or certainty, but about commitment to showing up day after day with an open heart, steady hands, and the courage to keep choosing the same person, the same promise, the same path, even when the future is unclear, even when the road is long, even when forever stops sounding like a word and starts feeling like a responsibility you are finally willing to carry, not because it's easy, not because it's guaranteed, but because love, real love, is worth becoming someone better for, worth giving more than you take, worth staying present in moments of doubt, worth learning how to listen, how to wait, how to grow, and worth choosing again and again, quietly, sincerely, without needing applause, without needing proof, just the understanding that this choice, this decision to love beyond comfort, beyond convenience, beyond fear, is where forever actually begins. And it continues every time you wake up and decide that love is not something you feel once, but something you practice, something you protect, something you give freely, even when it asks you to let go of the version of yourself that only knew how to love halfway, and step fully into the kind of commitment that doesn't promise perfection, but promises presence, effort, honesty, and the willingness to keep walking forward together, even when the path disappears into uncertainty, even when the only thing guiding you is trust, patience, and the quiet belief that choosing love this deeply, this intentionally, is what makes forever possible, because forever was never about time, it was always about choice, And the moment you understand that, the moment you stop asking what love will do for you and start asking who you are willing to become for it, is the moment you realize that forever doesn't wait for you to be ready. It waits for you to decide. And that decision lives in the smallest moments, the uncelebrated ones, the everyday ones, the ones where you show up without being asked, where you stay without being forced, where you give without keeping score, where you love not because it's easy or exciting or certain, but because you have chosen to stand inside that commitment, to grow inside it, to honor it with your actions, your patience, your presence, and your willingness to keep choosing love even when it asks more of you than you thought you had, even when it stretches you, even when it requires you to let go of fear and step fully into the responsibility of loving someone not just for who they are today, but for who they will become tomorrow. And every day after that, as long as you are willing to keep choosing, keep showing up, keep believing that love is not a destination, but a practice you return to again and again, without certainty, without guarantees, just with the quiet resolve to stay, to grow, to give, and to keep walking forward together into whatever comes next, into whatever forever asks of you, knowing that readiness was never about being sure, it was about being willing, and that willingness, once chosen, continues to shape every moment that follows, every choice you make, every day you wake up and decide that love is not something you run from when it gets hard, but something you step toward fully, honestly, with open hands, open heart, and the courage to keep choosing, even now, even here, even as the future remains unwritten, even as forever continues to unfold, one quiet decision at a time, and you find yourself standing in that space between fear and faith, realizing that this is where love asks you to stay, to breathe, to trust, to give, and to keep choosing, not because you know how it ends, but because you believe deeply enough to begin, and to continue, and to remain present in the act of loving itself, without needing to see the end of the road, only knowing that the choice to love this way, fully and deliberately, is the truest form of forever you will ever know, and that this choice, made quietly, made sincerely, made again and again in the ordinary moments, is what transforms love from a feeling into a life, from a promise into a practice, from a question into a commitment that lives in you, shapes you, and continues forward, unfinished, unfolding, alive, just like the decision you keep making, even now, as you stand here, considering what it means to be ready, what it means to stay, what it means to give more than you take, and what it truly means to choose forever, not once, but every day, in ways that are small, human, imperfect, and real, because that is where love actually lives, and where it continues to grow quietly, patiently, without needing an ending, without needing certainty, only the choice to remain, to give, to show up, and to keep choosing love, right here, right now, as the journey continues, and forever keeps asking you to decide again and again and again whether you're willing to keep walking forward together into the unknown, carrying love not as an idea, but as a responsibility you have chosen to honor, protect, and live inside. Even as the story continues, unfinished, open, and still becoming, just like you, just like love, just like forever, still unfolding, still asking, still waiting, in the quiet space where your choice remains, alive and ongoing and never fully complete, because love, when it is real, is never finished. It is always in motion, always asking you to stay present, to stay open, to stay willing, and to keep choosing, even as the path stretches ahead, unwritten, uncertain, and full of moments that will test you, shape you, and remind you that forever was never something you arrived at, but something you continue to build, one intentional choice at a time, as long as you're willing to keep choosing, keep giving, keep loving, and keep walking forward without needing to know exactly where the road leads, only knowing that the act of choosing love itself is what makes the journey worth continuing. Even as the words trail off, the thought remains, the commitment continues, and the question lingers quietly inside you, asking not for an answer spoken aloud, but for a choice lived every single day, as long as you are willing to stay, to grow, and to keep choosing love. Even now, even here, even as the story continues to unfold, without an ending, without a final line, just the ongoing act of choosing, again and again, what it means to love, what it means to give, and what it truly means to be ready for forever as the thought keeps moving forward, unfinished, alive, and still becoming, just like the choice itself, just like love, just like forever, continuing, unfolding, asking, and waiting in the quiet space where you decide, once more, to stay, to give, to choose, and to keep walking forward together into what comes next, without closure, without certainty, only with the steady resolve to remain present, committed, and willing, as the meaning of forever continues to reveal itself slowly, gently, one choice at a time. And you find yourself still standing in that space, still deciding, still choosing, still moving forward, as love continues to ask you to stay, to give, and to keep choosing, without needing an end, without needing a conclusion, only the ongoing willingness to continue, to remain, to love, and to keep choosing, even as the thought continues, open, unfinished, and alive, just like the promise you are learning to carry, quietly, deliberately, and without needing to say goodbye or to conclude, because forever, by its nature, never truly ends, it simply continues asking you to choose, again, and again, and again. Before we talk about forever, let me ask you something simple. Are you ready to stay when the excitement fades, when silence gets loud, when love stops being a feeling and starts being a choice? Because forever isn't fireworks every night. Forever is showing up on ordinary days. It's choosing the same person even when life gets heavy, even when you're tired, even when walking away would be easier than staying. Love isn't asking if you're perfect. It's asking if you're present, if you're brave enough to be seen, if you're strong enough to protect something fragile, if you're ready to stop running and build